you ready for this?
Gonna be fun.
You will not stand in my way.
Frostborn, hunger. This pleases me.
I do not fear you, mortal.
Your soul shall be mine.
Don't make me laugh.
Needs a brew?
Oh, I do.
Feel a shredding, baby. Let the battle begin.
So hello and welcome to our 12th episode of Trollin HGC, a Heroes of the Storm podcast focused on esports, a member of the Trolls.gg podcast network. I'm your host, LiQuiuD, and I'm joined today, as usual, by Bahgz. How's it going, man?
Hey, what's going on? It's been a while.
It has. It's been a couple of weeks, and we're not even on Twitch tonight. Twitch decided to get DDoSed and go down, and they're having all sorts of problems trying to bring it back up. But, you know, we're going to go ahead and we're going to do our show. We'll just do it on YouTube tonight.
No big deal, right? I almost kind of feel bad for him because I'm going around the Twitterverse and there's like a bunch of people like, well, since Twitch is down, looks like I won't be streaming tonight. And they're like,
right?
Like, and I take my toys and go. I'm like, it's not like they asked. Like, it's not like their equipment broke. It's like they're under it and that's, you know, they're being assaulted essentially.
Right,
like,
and it's not even like they want to be down, right? Twitch wants to be back up. They want to be providing content to people. This is costing them money, and it's like, okay, so I get it. I checked, so I was a little worried because we are affiliates, right? And I went and I checked to make sure you can broadcast in other places as an affiliate. You cannot as a partner, but as an affiliate, you can broadcast live in other places. So we're using YouTube, but Mixer, which is what used to be Beam, is still out there. Hitbox.tv got bought by like Smashcast.tv. That's still out there. So, like, there are other places you could be playing right now. We picked YouTube just because we already have a YouTube channel. And I was like, you know what? I'm just going to use this because it's easy. I can add the key and we can run, right?
Yeah.
Instead of setting up. But I'll probably next week set up a Trolls GG for the other services as well. So we have those in case something like this happens again. Then we can look at what we're going to use going forward. But, I mean, Twitch is obviously the best place to be when it's working. So, yeah. All right. Before we jump into stuff, because there's lots of stuff to talk about, I do want to thank our patrons over at patreon.com/trolls.gg. Or rather, /trollsgg. It is our shared Patreon account with the Nexus Trolls. And all of the money that we gather through that Patreon account or through cheers on Twitch or any other way that people get us the dollars, we are going to be buying stuff to give away at BlizzCon this year. I know we're going to have some t-shirts made. I know we're going to have some pinhole eyeglasses with both the Trolls logo on it and the HOTS logo on it. So definitely go and check us out over there. Show will always be free, but anything you send to us, we're going to use to turn around and give away to our viewers. So definitely check that out. And our Troll of the Week this week, I think you know this guy too. He is Ro. Over with Realm Maintenance. He is a great guy. He had Daz and I on his show a while ago. I think he had you and
He did have Guaz and I on
you and
the
Guaz,
show.
right?
Was,
yeah.
Probably about a month ago, 2 months ago at this point, actually.
Yeah, he's a great guy. He does a lot for all of the communities out there. Like every single Blizzard property, he's out there talking to different podcasts and really getting them some exposure. So thank you, Ro. You are our Troll of the Week this week. So, I don't know if you noticed this or not, but I was watching Open Division last week, NA, Open Division, and I'm like, huh, what is this? There's a Heroes Hearth team. And I was like, huh, Held It Down seems to be missing. And then literally as the bracket got released, Heroes Hearth releases their tweet, we've signed Held It Down, they are now Heroes Hearth, and I was excited because someone just picked up an Open Division team before they went pro. And B, they went on to win Open Division that week. And that's Crowan's team.
It's nice to see an Open Division team get picked up. You kind of wonder about the teams that aren't picked up right now in the pro scene. That like maybe they're just looking for too much, or I don't know. But it's kind of cool. It's almost like it's a homegrown site, designed by the by the Heroes community. It's two guys, but it's a Heroes site picking up a Heroes team, which is kind of cool.
Cool. That's all, and that's why I'm happy about it, right? I'm like super excited that they did this. I cannot wait to see what happens when we get into the Crucible this season. It would be great for me, from my point of view, to see Heroes Hearth make it into HGC and Crow into return. So I'm excited. All right. So you pointed this out on Twitter, this next item, and I actually was already aware of it because of some of the work I do with Heroes Hype. And I was like, oh, yeah, it's already in the show notes. We're totally going to cover this today. But, Hurricane Harvey hit Texas pretty hard, Houston specifically. And
it's still raining there as far as I understand. It is. It's just insane.
And it's come back around. And I was just reading a tweet or a news headline or something that said, basically, if you're in Houston, get out now, or you may not. So, first of all, we hope that everybody's safe in Houston. We definitely don't want to see anything happen to anybody out there in Houston. But Nelstar15 and at Nelstar15 and at Naily Hots went and put together an event that is hashtag Heroes for Harvey. And it's a 72-hour marathon to help people in Houston. It is going to start Friday night at 6 p.m. and run all the way through Monday night at 6 p.m. And it's going to, there's donation links out there. Everything that they can get, they're going to use to try and help people in Houston during this time of need. So definitely check it out. Great streamers lined up, a huge amount of streamers. In fact, I think you were tweeting Fan's girlfriend Rainey Saris when you mentioned it. I'm almost positive that's the tweet I saw, right?
Yeah, that was who caught my attention. I saw it when we were at the dog park earlier today, so it was on the way home. I caught it on my phone and I said, "Hey, this is great." So it's nice that the Heroes community is getting together to do something like this and help out a great cause. So I threw $20 at it, and if anyone watching or listening can afford to help out, please do so. It's a big deal. These are people getting displaced that need help.
Absolutely. Now I feel like we're on a downer, but this is a good thing. Like Heroes players trying to get money and raise money for victims of Harvey, which is a good thing. So we shouldn't be depressed.
It's awesome. It says a lot about our community, honestly. Right. It really does.
So, all right, let's jump into some results, shall we? I have a video for us. Let's jump into results with a video. If I can get my video. Cool. It is working. So we do have the top 5 plays of Phase 2 Week 6 playing on the screen. That's going to go ahead and give you guys some little bit of stuff that I thought was kind of cool. I agreed with Blizzard on most of these picks. But I don't know if you got a chance to watch Monday, Tuesday on China, HGC China. But, 6 of the 8 games were 1-1 ties. 6 of the 8.
I saw that. That's insane.
Right?
Even the good teams playing teams that you wouldn't expect because it's China so top heavy.
Right. No, it was bizarre, right? We Super Perfect Team 1-1 to SOA. And then the other one that jumped out at me, they 1-1 Hots Lady, and it was just what's happening? CE 1-1.
1-1 draw. Yep.
Right. CE 1-1 all 3 games they played. What is happening here? So, for starters, my MasterLeague.net ranking completely borked because I did not call those. I was like, yeah, CE's got this 2-0, no problem, right? Certainly, SPT's got these games 2-0. These are brand new teams into HGC because E-Star left, and nope, not so much.
I'm sad that E-Star left, by the way. It's that they were a staple of the Chinese scene since the inception of this game, it feels like.
I am too, to be honest, and I feel like that's something that we'll probably see more of when we get down to our discussion topic back at the bottom, where they, they top tier teams and just HGC in general. But Korea, did anything jump out at you, Korea? I know you didn't get to watch all the games, but the teams that I thought were going to win won, and the teams that I thought were going to lose lost. I didn't see anything in Korea.
It was pretty straightforward. It wasn't even like where certain series were. I didn't get to watch much of Korea at all, but based on what I was able to skim through and read, is like MVP Black dominated, L5 dominated. L5 hasn't lost since they lost to, was it MVP Black in the beginning of the season?
Yes.
And that's it.
Yes,
that's it. And so both those teams are just. I don't know. That's Mighty is kind of disappointing. I expected them after like their good run at the end of the first half of phase 1.
Right.
I expected them to be a little stronger this split, and it's the same three. And Miracle and Mighty, I feel like have taken steps back, and the only team that really stepped forward from the bottom tier below the bottom three is Blossom.
Okay.
So, yeah, pretty much like you said, it was kind of like par for the course would be the best expression.
No, and it was weird, right? Like it felt very weird that's how it ended up coming down. I don't know. Like everything felt off in Korea. Like the regular team, the teams that we expected to do what they did what they were gonna do. It was just very, I don't know, felt weird. Like all of the East. I guess the best way I could describe this is all of the Eastern felt off to me. Like whether it was Korea or China, like it just didn't feel correct.
Well, I mean, typically China and Korea, they at least this year have been very top heavy.
Right.
And I guess that's also why maybe that also explains better as to why those leagues like the bigger prize pools, because they have they're top heavy leagues. And I don't know, that's just me. It seems like there's Tempest, L5, and MVP Black. And those are the dominant teams in Korea. For the longest time, it was like E-Star and what was that other team that was Team YL, I think it was, like from China. Yeah. They had a couple of teams that were just always really strong there, but you never even heard of the other teams.
Right.
So.
Right. All right. So and then we had EU. So EU is crazy good.
EU is so good. It is.
Right?
It's like it's easy. Like NA has the drama because NA lull. You know what I mean? So like, There's always like interesting things there and like cool storylines. But EU, as far as like competitive heroes, is the cream of the crop right now, from 1 through 8. You know what I mean?
Right, and that's that's kind of how I felt about it too. I'm an NA boy. I love NA, but damn, EU was good this weekend. If you did not see Fnatic versus Dignitas, the whole series, like you definitely have to check out that series. That series was great. And I
thought Dig was gonna take it, dude.
There were moments in time where I believed that as well.
I mean, they were up 2-1, and then going into Game 4, I don't want to spoil anything. I don't know what you had planned for later in the show.
Go ahead, man.
Going like Game 4, Dig versus Fnatic on Battlefield of Eternity there.
Yep.
We were watching it last night. I caught the VOD finally, and like I had read and you had mentioned it, but I had also read somewhere that it was insane. So I was like, all right, what are they talking about? And like I'm watching it, and I'm like, it just looks like Dig is like steamrolling. Like I don't know what's so. And then the ending happened, and I just like, what?
Right? It was like, what did I just see? Yes.
So like Dig got their core down to 11% and wiped, and I was like, for sure thought that was it. They were gonna end the game there. I didn't think they were gonna get stopped with 11% left on Fnatic's core. And then regardless, there was like, Fnatic hadn't taken out a fort yet on the map. You know what I mean? That's how badly they were getting steamrolled.
Right.
And I was like, there's no way. Like I know it's kind of late into the game, but there is no way they can clear a fort, then a keep, and then the core, while before the other team responds, and they couldn't. But the crazy thing is they sieged up on the core somehow, and it was this beautiful, like it was almost like synchronized swimming, I guess is like the best way to describe it. Is both teams were moving as units of 5, and they were just for the video watches, you can see my hands going back and forth. It was just so synchronized. It was insane. Fnatic was backed into that corner, and they were able to just get that pick on Snitch right at the end, and it was just all they needed. And I couldn't believe it. They somehow, and then from there on, they were able to take down the core, and it was just.
And then they didn't let up.
They didn't let up. But Game 5, they kind of kept that momentum, and that's it. They came back from being down 2-1.
Yeah. No, it was a great series. Definitely check that out if you haven't. And then we had 2 Crucible teams who struggled in the first part of phase 2. Come in, and Zealots winning 2 games looked absolutely amazing. And then TGG came in, and they also won this weekend. And it was just like, what am I watching? Like, these are not the same teams we saw in Phase 2 Part 1.
So, Zealots has, like, they had, like, kind of been sneakily improving, I feel like, towards going before the Clash, I want to say.
Okay.
But them 3-0ing LiQuiuD was not something I would have seen coming at all.
Nobody
you
saw
know
that
what I mean?
coming,
That was
man.
completely out of left field. Them beating Tricked 3-2, like, if you told me that beforehand, I'm like, probably not, but I could see it happening. There's a scenario where that's likely to happen, right?
Yeah.
Zealots, like, and then, but if you told me, hey, Zealots is going to 3-0 LiQuiuD, I'd be like, nah, it's not going to happen.
Right. It was crazy.
I'd be a liar.
It was like, it was completely crazy.
But it's good, though. I mean,
Yeah.
when like, Team Good Guys is the worst team in EU right now. Like, Team BKB is, you could say. And, you know, beating Expert, which was coming out of the Clash arguably the second best team in Europe, it's pretty impressive.
Right. No, absolutely. Absolutely. Everything about this weekend was great, especially in Europe. I think Europe just, like, delivered some crazy good stuff, and I'm really glad they did.
Before we transfer away from EU, do you
Yep.
think that the time off from the Clash benefited? You know what? I'm going to save that question for after we finish NA, because I'm going to tie two teams together.
Okay.
'Cause I think they mirror each other really well.
Okay, we can do that. All right, so let's jump over to NA then. Roll20 came out with a vengeance this week, and I was so happy. And, like, I don't know. I said this on the Nexus Trolls, and I'm going to say it again here. Like, how do you possibly let Justin continue to get Garrosh?
You got him 6 times, if I'm remembering correctly.
How is that a thing?
3 times in a row against Team Freedom and 3 times in a row against Tempo Storm. There was no respect ban for it, which blew my mind because there's the respect ban for Medivh, right?
Right. Well, that was the thing, though. And so I was sitting on the couch discussing this with my wife while it's happening. I'm like, why? Like, you just got stomped because you let them have Garrosh. And Justin is an amazing, like, clearly they worked together to figure out how to play that correctly and, like, to do what needed to be done. But, like, what? Do you fear Glaurung's Medivh so much that you're going to let Garrosh through, who's clearly beating you, like, repeatedly, right? Like, it blew my mind. It blew my mind.
They looked really on point. Like, the thing is, when they play those Garrosh comps, the burden of execution, and I could be wrong, but I feel like the burden of execution is always going to be on them because they're the ones who have to make the highly skilled mechanical plays to isolate one person and then land several stuns and other displacement abilities to nail someone down and get that 5 versus 4 advantage. It's not very easy to do.
Right.
And so I feel like the burden of execution is on them to do, but they're able to execute, it's a beautiful thing. I don't know how you keep letting Justin get Garrosh. I think it's pretty clear that A, he's a new hero. Maybe the counter to him hasn't been quite figured out yet. And B, he's excelling with him at an extremely high rate.
Right.
Like, just shut it down and force him to do something else. I mean, when they were running the Medivh Diablo comps that to such great success, it was either ban the Diablo or ban the Medivh, one or the other, and they were able to solve it. So I don't know why they didn't. I couldn't tell you. I wish. I don't know.
Right.
I don't have a good answer for you.
No, and it is what it is, right? And then on top of that, we had Lag Force completely coming out of left field, upsetting Space Station Gaming and beating Superstars.
Do you think that was like I don't know without like having one of those, like picking one of those guys' brains.
Right.
Do you think it's like a situation where like kind of unshackled and unburdened by the fact of having an org, and now it's like we're probably going to be in the Crucible again, and it's just like they're playing. I don't know. They're having fun, maybe.
I kind of feel a little bit
Stressing
like
less?
that. I feel like it's like, all right, thanks, Naventic. We're out, and look at us. We're going to do awesome. But it also may have been one of those situations where it was like, well, Naventic doesn't believe in us enough to spend the money to give us what we're asking for. So, we're going to coast for a while. They still had, like Ogre says in chat, you know, they had moments where they looked pretty impressive. And the trick here for me is they've done this before, so I don't want to get like too excited about it.
And for what it's worth, like Superstars is what, the sixth best team.
And they were
in,
playing without
NA right now.
They were playing without Shrey this weekend.
And I mean, it was the beating No Tomorrow, now known as Space Station Gaming, was a big deal for what it's worth.
Right.
But
right.
And I think they were playing from Utah. They were boot camping that week, so they played both their matches from their boot camp.
Yep.
So that was a big deal. I mean, I don't want to put like Superstars on I don't want to give it a grain of salt, but I'm giving it a grain of salt.
Fair enough.
But
so,
I was thoroughly impressed by them beating Space Station Gaming, and I did get to see that. That was right before I went into work this weekend.
So you wanted to tie two teams together?
I did. So do you think that both Dignitas and Roll20, because they didn't make it to the Clash, and they had made some changes. Now, Roll20, theirs being a roster change, and Dignitas being a shot calling and drafting change. Do you think because they made those changes and that they were just struggling to kind of like click and get the most they could out of those changes before the Clash, do you think that the time off now has given them, what they needed to kind of clear their heads and really finally finish gelling up?
Possibly. So
because they both looked a lot better than they did before the Clash.
So the interesting thing there is, like, what do you do with Glaurung around that?
So I didn't I don't have Master League up right now, and I probably should. But from what, oh great, I just X'd it out on Google Chrome. That was just, for what it's worth, like from what I noticed is like they weren't having the issues where like Cloud was like him and Goku were like swapping back and forth on roles, which was kind of weird. Like for like Glau played Tyrande, that's something you want to see. You know what I mean?
Absolutely.
It's in that situation, and let Goku play Malthael. We did have Glau on Greymane. He didn't do anything to me that was like, oh my god, Glau on Greymane, like he was the first half, which I don't know how he lost it or what happened there. But we didn't have a situation where like Glaurung's on Dahaka and you're like, but isn't like Goku like playing the highest level Dahaka right now in NA? Like why is that? There wasn't any of that situation. No. So maybe they solidified that a little bit more.
Yeah, mostly I meant, first, I completely agree. The other teams not being there had time to completely focus during that period of time when we had the clashes going on. But what I mean is with Glaurung being at the Western Clash for on the analyst desk, like how much time, that was a couple of weeks missed, right?
I understand, not scrimming with his team, not playing with his team. I understand what you were. Okay. Well, they did have, 2 weeks off? They had the Eastern Clash off, and then had the week after.
That bye week, yeah.
So I guess that's kind of what I meant. And then all this week before this last weekend too. So it was almost like 21 days. It was almost 3 weeks off.
Yeah.
So I guess is what I'm going with here.
Okay. Cool. All right.
I think that helped. I think that.
No, it clearly helped. Like teams that did, like, you can tell that like Zealots was like crazy on point, right? Even TGG, and that TGG Sonya Leap play, did you see that? Oh my god! All right, it's one of the plays of the week. I think it was like number 5 or number 4.
I'll check it out.
Watch that, but then watch it in the game, because they're like, is this a leap game? Is this a leap game? And the next thing you know, you see Sonya leap in, completely like kill 3 or 4 members. Take the like, oh my god, it was perfect. Oh god, it was awesome. Like, yeah, it was great. And then Ogre also in the chat is pointing out Dig had moments early against playing Ducks, and they got to watch out for not being too confident. And he's right. Like,
that's true. They weren't. I did get to see them play the playing Ducks, and that wasn't as
clean.
Correct.
So
and against a much lesser opponent.
I love Bakery. I don't like most of Dignitas.
Really?
Yes.
What about Mene? Mage God.
But he's so like, I feel he is Mage God, but he's so like
But he's Mage God.
Yeah,
right?
he's Mage
So,
God,
he's
right?
Limited
Like,
to Mage God.
like, what do you do if you don't get a mage, man? Or what do you
Or
do
when
if this
mages are out of the
meta
meta.
right? If the meta shifts and you can't pick a mage, like what do you do? And Snitch just drives me nuts. I don't know why. Something about Snitch just tilts me every time. I don't know what it is.
It's his Keebler elf voice. That's what it is.
Maybe, I don't know. It's something stupid. Like, I recognize that it's irrational, but something about him drives me nuts. So like, honestly, I can recognize that Dig is probably a solid number 2, number 3 in EU, right? Like, I don't question that at all. I think Fnatic is still number 1. There's no, like, nobody's gonna take Fnatic. Fnatic's going to BlizzCon, and then we'll see what happens on the big stage, where I will not be leaving my seat the entire time. But and Ogre thinks JPL might have been their weak spot, which again, like, I just don't like the Dig team. I hate to say that because I love HGC and I watch all of these games. I just don't like the Dig team though. And I can't put my finger on specifically what it is other than to say I like bakery. That's it, man. And like, I feel bad too, right? Because they were like constantly boot camping. They're constantly leaving early and boot camping somewhere, right? Which is awesome, and I feel like I need to support that, but at the same time, I just don't like Dig. I don't know why. I just don't.
It's okay, man. You're allowed to have favorites.
Right.
You know, you are a Fnatic fan, right? And
Absolutely.
Dignitas would be probably considered their biggest rival and always play them the toughest. So.
Yeah, that's true. And it was a great series, don't get me wrong. Like, I enjoyed watching the full 5 game set. I enjoy every time those two teams play each other. I just don't like Dig.
That's fair, man.
So, all right, let's go into some previews. So I went ahead and I marked up which ones I think are the ones to watch.
The excitement factor.
The excitement factor, yes, we'll go with that. But I'm going to go over all the games real quick, and then we can discuss the specifics, because, quite honestly, we do have the time tonight to cover all the games. So, starting on Friday at 5 a.m. Eastern, all these times are going to be Eastern, so I don't have to keep saying that to you guys. 5 a.m. we have Mighty versus Raven in Korea, followed by L5 versus MVP Miracle at 7 a.m. Then we get to take our nap, or for those of us on the East Coast that work, we get to work for a little while until noon rolls around and we get Team LiQuiuD versus Fnatic. Now, I do want to comment about this game. This game actually used to be a great game and like a fixture in the EU scene, right? But I feel like LiQuiuD is so far off their game that this is like just Fnatic 3-0ing or 3-1ing a team. And it's like, meh, whatever.
It's like, I mean, maybe it's because they got 3-0'd by Zealots handily, and like it leaves a bad taste in your mouth. But we have to remember they did do well at the Clash, though. They finished 3rd.
That's true.
They were able to get the necessary wins that they needed to qualify for the Clash, and they looked, they performed well. And it was a lot of the players, pointed to the fact that they got the new coach, who's an NA player, by the way.
Yep.
Zeus, I believe is his name, and I don't want to say like they're not on Fnatic's level anymore. They used to be, yes.
Right.
So it used to be a great game. It used to be like Fnatic Dig, but I don't want people to get the wrong idea and think that LiQuiuD is.
Oh yeah, no, they're not like dumpster fire. They're not. It's not Fnatic Dig like it used to be. The top 3, Fnatic, Dig, LiQuiuD. It was like you match any 2 of those 3 teams up, you had a great game like every time, right? And I just don't feel like it's that way anymore with LiQuiuD.
The Fnatic is taking a leap forward, and everyone else is kind of like caught up to Dig and LiQuiuD is basically what it comes down to, right?
Right. And so with Fnatic not having anybody at that leap level, it's like, Dig is the closest one, and so it is what it is. So 2 o'clock, still in EU, we have Dignitas versus Team Good Guys. Now, this is not on my list as like huge excitement factor, but I kind of hope that the Good Guys can continue their streak and maybe win here. I think that would be really cool to see. But
I want to see Team BKB pick up some more wins.
Right?
I know they're probably going to go to the Crucible, but I have faith that they will defeat whoever they face. But I would like to see them pick up some more wins. Beating Dig might be asking a bit much, but
I don't know, man.
I'll be rooting for him, man. Team BKB all the way.
If Leftovers takes first place and decides to take on Team Good Guys, I don't know if Leftovers.
Well, here's
won't
the thing:
beat them.
Leftovers played in. Well, I'll let you finish. You might have.
No, that's how I was going. Go ahead.
Leftovers played in the Open Division last go round, and they didn't qualify for the Crucible for a reason. You know, they weren't as good as Zealots or Team Good Guys. You know,
Right.
so.
But they look way better now than they did last season.
I guess it's hard to say because these guys don't face.
Right. That's
they
the
look
struggle,
good
right?
who they're playing against. We
Right.
don't see them playing against top tier competition. So
Right. That's the struggle, right? Like, where do you go from there? All right, let's head over to NA. So at 5 o'clock Eastern. Now, let's be honest. Man, half the time it's like 8 o'clock before NA starts because EU's gone long. Like, last Friday, I think EU went 5 games in 5 games, and it was like 7:30 when NA started. My wife was like, what is going on? I'm like, well, EU went double fives. Like, what am I supposed to do? But
What can I say?
Right? Supposedly at 5 o'clock, we'll see Gale Force Esports versus Tempo Storm. This is my game for Friday. Like, I'm super excited about this one.
This is a great rivalry match, I feel like. But
Okay.
Tempo Storm has looked rough lately. Maybe it was just Roll20, taking it to the next level. I don't know. But they struggled at the Clash. They struggled against Roll20. Cattle was... Did he play Tassadar in all 3 matches or something like that? So he went from playing bruiser / main tank to ranged.
Yeah.
I don't know what's going on over there. They're making changes, but it's
Well,
hard,
it looks like
hard to see behind the curtain.
looks
right?
like they're rolling some of them back, too. So not all those changes are going to stick around. So we'll have to see what happens there. It'll be good to see.
And Gale Force looks so good at the Clash. So good at the Clash. They
Right.
they really look like that boot camping, getting CAF and K1 on a team with an org, and impassioning them. That's not a word. I made it up.
No, we're gonna totally go with it, dude.
And so they have the fire has been lit again. I don't know, analogies here, man, metaphors. They're excited to be playing heroes competitively and at a really high level again, and it showed at the Clash. And it's they finished as the best team in NA. They took some games off of EU.
Right.
I expect Gale Force to win here, but it's going to be at least if Tempo can bounce back and play like the team that was crushing NA in the first half of this phase and most of last year, then it could be a really great set.
And that's why I'm looking forward to it. And then rounding that out at 7 p.m. Eastern, we have Roll20 versus Lag Force. Roll20 looks on point. Lag Force, even though they did well last weekend, I just don't see them taking Roll20 this time around.
Right. I honestly believe that after the break, Roll20, I want to see them play Gale Force. I want to see where they're at. That's the match I want to see.
I can't wait for that match. That's going to be a good one.
That's going to be the real that's going to be the totem pole match to see
Yep.
who's where in the pecking order.
That's Fnatic Dig for NA.
Yep.
All right, let's jump over to Saturday, 5 a.m. Eastern. We are back in Korea. MVP Miracle versus Team Blossom. 2 middle-of-the-pack-ish teams.
Honestly, with the way that both teams have been playing, I expect Blossom to win it, but we'll see. Plus, I got Wiz, man.
Yeah, they do have Wiz now. That's a good point. That's a good point. But then we have Tempest versus MVP Black at 7 a.m. That's going to be a good game, I think.
That should be really good if Tempest can kind of capture the magic they had at the Eastern Clash.
Yeah.
That'll be good.
And then after that, jumping into EU, we have Zealots versus Team Expert at 12 o'clock noon.
So, I guess the question there is is Team Expert the team that just lost to Team Good Guys, and is Zealots the team that just crushed LiQuid and beat Trick last week? Right.
I mean, that's literally what it comes down to. That's why I think that's going to be another great game to watch. And then 2 o'clock Eastern, we have Team Good Guys versus Playing Ducks. I'm not sure how I think that's going to go, honestly.
that actually probably like it's 2 bottom tier teams, but it's really competitive. I
Right.
feel like.
Right.
So I'll be rooting for Team BKB.
Yep. 100%,
as
man.
a BKB fan.
Yep.
But it should be really close. Like, I mean, both teams have 2 wins under their belt. Playing decks are just ahead of Team Good Guys in the standings because they have 1 less loss. They've played 1 less match, but their map records are very similar. It should be really good.
Right.
I've actually got the EU standings up right now, and it's just insane. Like, Fnatic's obviously at the top. They're 7-1.
Right.
But the rest of it is just like neck and neck. Trix 5-4, Diggs 5-4, Zealots are 5-4. Zealots has creeped up to 4th, by the way. I didn't even realize.
I didn't realize that either
close.
until you just said that. I did not know that.
They are 5-4 ahead of Team Expert and LiQuiuD, who are both 4-4. Like, that is like 1 through 6 EU, insane, with both playing ducks and good guys on a good day when all things are clicking that good. It's that close that they can even take out,
right,
take matches.
Right.
These teams. So.
All right. Then we're going over to 5:00 Eastern NA. We have Even in Death versus Superstars. Now this is interesting because Even in Death had moments where they looked way better than they have yet. And Superstars is looking kind of weak. So Even in Death could actually maybe get a game here or even the series.
I would like that. I honestly, I'm at the point where I really feel for the team.
Yeah.
I've mentioned it. They've slowly been making improvements, and now they did get 3-0'd by Space Station Gaming last week, but like they have just been getting crapped on, dude.
Yeah.
Left and right, everywhere. It's like everyone on Town Hall just absolutely like crushing them, like, and then like just social media, like they don't deserve their spot. I'm like, they won the playoffs, like they won the Open Division playoffs. Like you don't hear anyone complaining about RRR, who are doing equally as bad in Korea.
Right.
Maybe it's because we're not in Korea.
That's
like,
you know what? All right, I gotta nitpick here because I personally I completely agree with you, and this drives me nuts because Blizzard acts like Blizzard social media acts like the day starts with EU and ends with NA. And I'm like, dude, my day started like 12 hours ago with Korea. Like, what are you guys doing? Like, really? You have Korea. You talk about it occasionally. You have 2 guys covering it on the Blizz Heroes Twitch channel. Why is this always ignored? Drives me crazy.
It's not wrong. I wish. So I only almost always exclusively catch Korea on VODs, and I cherry pick like the good matchups.
Right.
It's I'm just not up that early. So I wish I could catch it more. But I hear you. Like it is kind of insane.
Well, so what works out for me is I'll get up and I start Korea from the beginning on Twitch and just let it run until I catch up. And usually about then is when EU starts.
Yeah.
Right. So
I bet that's funny you say that. So like, I don't get up like super early, but like I'll get up at like 9 because I work nights. Yeah. So I try and reset my clock as best I can, but at the end of the day, I don't get up at like 6 or 7 in the morning like a lot of people. I get up at 9. And so I'll start it. Like, it's funny. I pick up the Korean broadcast on Twitch and I'll start it and I'll let it play while I'm doing stuff on the computer or I'm doing stuff around the house.
Right.
And then like but it's for me is because I don't get up as early as you. It doesn't finish at EU. So once noon hits, I just turn it off.
You just turn it off and switch. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
The trick is you got to skip all the wait times too. So like I'll skip whoever's casting that day. Like I like you, whatever, but I got to be ready for EU when it rolls around. So I'll skip ahead to where I need to be and see what happens.
So that's funny you say that. I had to power through some of the VODs yesterday and today. And so I usually watch them on Twitch and I'll try and fast forward. But I found that it was easier if I went to YouTube and just went to the playlist of the certain matches. And you just click it, and I usually like to watch the draft, so I have a better idea of what's happening going into the match, but I just skip the draft, and you like save like 10, 15 minutes of like pre-draft commentary, draft, post-draft commentary, and then the actual, then there's like 15 to 20 minutes of match, so it's like half the time is all that. It's like, I guess the best comparison would be like football with all the talk in between actual playing. Like if they condensed the football game down to just the action, it'd be like 20 minutes instead of 3 hours.
Exactly. And so like I skip from the end of the match to the probably a little bit forward in the draft. So the first like handful of picks are already done. And then I'm like, cool. And so I skip a good chunk of it every time when I do that.
makes a big difference. So I don't even know where we were, man. I'm sorry.
That's right. That's right. We just finished Even in Death Superstars, and then at 7 p.m. we jump over to Lag Force versus Team Freedom. I don't think Team Freedom's going to lose to Lag Force. Possible, but I don't think Team Freedom's going to lose to Lag Force.
Probably not. For what it's worth, I felt like in the Team Freedom matches versus Roll20, even though they lost 3-0, they were a little more competitive than the Roll20 tempo matches. Whereas like Temp, I don't even think Temp, like, I'm not sure how many forts they even took down in that series. It was bad.
Yeah, no, it absolutely was. All right, and then jumping over to Sunday, 5 a.m. again Eastern, we have RRR versus Mighty.
You know what? I saw a quick sidebar. I saw a funny tweet out there by Royalite.
Yep.
I don't know if she was like, she was trying to get she was gonna cheer to RRR.
The RRR, the panda thing. Yeah.
She wanted the cute like raccoon, red panda, whatever it is thing. And then they have like the giant Hellscream or whatever Warsong Clan like skull thing now.
Yeah.
It's funny, and she's like, oh, so disappointed.
No, I did see that though. And then at 7 a.m. we have L5 versus Team Blossom. Okay, L5 wins.
Yeah, both those matches are going to be pretty straightforward, huh?
Right. But noon, we have a good one. I'm looking forward to this over in EU. Tricked eSport versus Fnatic.
Honestly, both matches from EU look really good. I'm looking at it now.
No, that's a good point. Then at 2 o'clock we have Team Expert versus Team Dignitas. That should be another good game.
Tricked has really made some great strides to get better, and it could be competitive with Fnatic. And again, with Team Expert and Dignitas making the changes they've made, both sets could be. EU is so good, man. You know,
Yeah.
When it's like this, it's very rarely can you like look at EU and be like, that's an matchup. You know what I mean? Like it's all going to be really good, and they all have big implications on the standings.
Right. No, absolutely. So, and then last 2 games of the weekend at 5 p.m. Eastern, we have Space Station Gaming versus Tempo Storm. And then after that, at 7 p.m. Eastern, we have Superstars versus Roll20. I think both of those are gonna be, yeah, those will be straightforward, right? I don't think we might see a surprise out of Space Station Gaming, but I think Tempo Storm wins that.
I think they've lost a lot of the steam that they had. Like they got off to that hot start in this in the second phase here,
right?
And I think they've lost a lot of that. They've just the momentum has kind of been. The wind has been taken out of their sails, so to speak. So, I mean, we'll see. They did bounce back against Even in Death, but that was Even in Death.
Right.
I don't know. Do you know anything about Space Station Gaming, the org, by the way? I tried to look them up. It's just seems like, I don't know. I'm glad that it's an org, period.
Right.
Like, someone's sponsoring the team. It just seems like this might be their only thing, their first thing.
I think it is, honestly. So. I mean, we'll get to that when we get down to top tier esports. It makes sense, right?
It's a start.
Right. All right. Do you think Zealots can repeat what they did last week?
Yes, I do.
Okay.
It looks like they play Expert this week. I believe that it's asking a lot for them to beat Expert, but Team Good Guys did, right?
That's true.
So and Zealots is arguably a better team than Good Guys.
That's true.
So it's definitely a possibility. I think that after their performance last week, and I think it's definitely. If I had to put the odds on it, I'd say it's 60-40 in favor of Team Expert, but
okay.
I could definitely see it happening.
And then, can Lag Force beat either Roll20 or Team Freedom this weekend?
No, I think they're going to lose both matches. I'd be surprised if that wasn't the result.
I tend to agree with you. I wouldn't. It'd be
Do you
interesting
think they're going to be close or
not against? Well,
I think Roll20 is going to roll them.
See, I think so too, but the Lag Force doesn't draft the same way other people draft, so they may not let Justin have who they want, right? Like, I don't know, because it's weird, because if you give up the Medivh, right, Roll20 is immediately going to go Medivh Diablo, and now you're screwed. So it's like, what do you ban, right? You let them have Garage.
Well, we haven't seen that happen yet, right? So
That-
I
yeah,
guess
that's
it's
true.
a time will tell if that's still as effective or if other teams have figured out a way to work around it or not yet.
Yeah.
But
That's
I
a
know
good point.
I tend to agree with you that Garage entering the meta has added a tool to their kit that they probably desperately needed, and now really puts them in a really strong situation where like they can play standard, they can play they're not even cheese comps, but they're
Right.
their particular brand of heroes that is extremely effective.
Right. All right. Let's jump into some amateur scene updates. We didn't have a show last week, so I actually have EU Open Division and NA Open Division to cover. We'll start over with the EU Open Division. We had the semifinals. This is Cup 6, so there's only one cup left for EU. Semifinals, we had Leftovers versus Shizaisen. Leftovers winning that 2-1. And then Bushido Esports against Run It Down. Bushido Esports winning 2-1 over Run It Down, which set up a third place match of Shizaisen versus Run It Down. Run It Down losing that 2-0. And over in the finals, we had Leftovers 2-0ing Bushido Esports, putting Leftovers solidly in first place with 600 points. Bushido Esports sitting at 445, Run It Down at 405. And then a big jump down in the number 4 place, Shizaisen with 285. So the top 3, I think, are set. The bottom 5 are still struggling over position right now because the top 8. Yeah, a lot of fluctuating. And the top 8 are what goes into the playoffs this year, or this phase. So, and then over in NA, we have, this would have been not this Monday, but last Monday, the 21st. Donkeys R Us versus Imported Support in the semifinals. Donkey R Us losing 0-2. Imported Support picking up that win. And then Heroes Hearth, Crowan's team. Heroes Hearth actually signing Held It Down, winning 2-0 over Flame is Lame, setting up a third place match. Donkeys R Us versus Flame is Lame. Donkeys R Us winning that 2-0. And then in the finals, we had Imported Support versus Heroes Hearth. Heroes Hearth winning that 2-1, setting them up in the number 1 position with 480 points. There are 2 cups left in NA. One of them is next week, which I think is Labor Day, the 4th, right? 3rd, 4th? Yep. And then the other one is coming up 2 weeks after that. But Heroes Hearth at 480 points, Donkeys R Us at 390, Imported Support at 360, and Flame is Lame at 335.
NA is like, it's the top 4, and it's like been the same top 4 for like 4 weeks now. It's insane.
Yes.
I think Heroes Hearth, I read somewhere is Heroes, that was their 4th cup win, by the way, I believe.
Yes, I think it was. You know where?
Like consecutive.
You know a great way to check that? Because I can't pip these guys enough. Masterleague.net. They actually have it up there because the top 4 they have up there, and that was actually their 5th win in a row. They have won, they've won 5 in a row, and the one before that, they finished 2nd. So, like, they're pretty much here to win. That team is made up of, like, solid players, right? You have McIntyre, Crone, Ishbu, BBJ, and Arthalon. Like, seriously.
That's I guess that was the idea behind this whole system when Blizzard set it up.
Right.
Was to, this is a team that can actually compete in the Crucible, right? And it's like when you have former pros in the open division playing the amateur scene, trying to break back into the pro scene. That's the goal. I feel like it's to have it really competitive in that respect. I will say that Imported Support has impressed, in that they stuck together after failing.
Yep.
Last phase, and trying to. They're competitive with Heroes Earth for what it's worth, and none of those are former pros. You know what I mean? They've been amateurs since day one,
and they're pretty consistently in 2nd place, right? So if you look at the one, like, I'm looking at it right now. They're consistently in 2nd place, so they're doing good too. And then
I really like the Aware and Specialty on that team. Like, those are 2 players that I would really like to see in the pro scene. I've said it before, and I'll keep saying it. Specialty on mages is really impressive, at least as far as NA mage players go.
Right. Right. And then Heroes Hype Tempo Storm Series 3 starts tonight. Now that Twitch is back on, they are actually there at twitch.tv/Heroes Hype. Check them out after the show. Great guys. They're doing a good job. And they recently announced a Latin America division of Heroes Hype. So that's that's gonna start up soon too.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
I'm curious about the logistics of that, but that's awesome.
They brought a bunch of people online or on board to help work on the Latin American side of things. So
that's awesome, man.
Yeah.
Good for them.
Yeah. So, all right. Now we alluded a little bit to this when we said, well, top tier esports and who is Space Station Gaming, and Trent wrote this great article. Mopsio actually asked him to write this article, and so he went and he wrote it up. And he has said multiple times on Twitter that this has probably been his most popular article to date. And I read the article. Definitely check out the article if you haven't yet. It's linked in the show notes, or you can just go to trentesports.wordpress.com.
I tried to link it in chat just now, and YouTube barked at me, so I will leave it be. Yeah.
I wonder if I can get it to go.
You might be able to because I'm
on the host. Yeah. It went. All right. So anyway, check it out. It's a great article. I'm curious what you think about it.
I didn't. So normally I like to read the Reddit thread where people who are a little more intelligent than me, provide pretty insightful comments as a counter argument to what Trent writes.
Right.
I didn't get a chance to read the Reddit thread though, and hear other opinions. But everything Trent pointed out here made a lot of sense. So like, esport orgs, you have to understand how they. So my concept of I never really understood how esport orgs made money. They make money through sponsorship, like the actual org being sponsored, whether it be through HyperX or Razer or Logitech, or SteelSeries. So they sell ad space on their jerseys, and we have to understand. Not this is just one example, but you have to understand that in Heroes, because it's an online league, which is convenient in some respects and inconvenient in others. It's also it happens to be a huge detriment as far as advertising goes. Now, if they were playing in a league that was being broadcasted similar, like maybe like OGN or how the Korean Korean HGC is broadcast in the OGN studios in Korea. So, those players wearing jerseys, that's different. You know what I mean? That they have little ads on their jerseys and you see them in the booth. It's a little different than, say, what we have in the online leagues when you only see these players wearing these jerseys when one of them gets interviewed at the end of a match, at the end of the best of 5. You don't see them throughout the full set, panning back and forth between the players and the actual game. You know what I mean?
Right.
So the only time the jerseys really get to be used as an advertising space is like at LAN events, and that's only for top tier teams. The other thing he points out is how you can't really go in. It's not worth going in and buying a top tier team. It's not worth that investment. Based on whether it be the viewership numbers or whatever. So if you could get in the ground floor on a top tier team, like say like Roll20 did with Team 8, that's one thing. But going in and trying to buy out Tempo Storm, out of those players out of their contracts, it's expensive, and it might not be worth it because A, the viewership numbers aren't great. They're good, but not great. And B, they, the team could fall apart. And then you spend all that money for what? Nothing.
Right.
So,
right.
It's tough. So, and then do you want to pay? Like if you're an org and you have advertisers that you need to please because you need to make money, right?
Yep.
So you need to give your advertisers a good product so that they can, get their, however many interactions they need to get or whatever.
Right.
You're not going to buy Naventic, a formerly Naventic, now LagForce. Because you're just not going to make money off that.
No, you're not.
And so that was one thing. Yeah, I guess a question I have is, and I would like to ask someone at Blizzard, is like, They have a, you know where they play the Heroes trailers,
Yes.
or like all the other stuff, like the May video, like in between matches and stuff. They play like,
Yep.
why don't they have, they can't be charging an astronomical price, can they? Why don't they have ads playing during that? Why do they just play Blizzard stuff?
So I'll be honest. Have you ever read Twitch chat during that time? Or
No.
right at the beginning? Okay, so right at the beginning of the stream, typically if you don't have an ad blocker up, you're gonna see an ad, right? Everybody complains about that. Blizzard, why am I seeing ads? Like just the standard Twitch ad, right? You get the same response from people who are like, I just want to watch your game and you're showing me an ad. Like, I don't need to see an ad for this. Go away. The Twitch audience is very vocal, and I don't think ads would work well there. What I do think, though, is something that Trent actually mentioned on our show when we had him on, and something he mentions at the bottom of the article, and that's humanize the players. And there's definitely no reason why you can't hire a news reporter intern straight out of journalism school, right? And say, I want you to interview all of these players. I want you to sit on Skype. Your job is to come in the morning. Somebody has already, because Blizzard has a team and a player coordinator, has already set up your schedule. You look at the schedule, you Skype this person, you record the interview. Here are your questions, right? Bonus points if you can get them to tear up or show emotion on the interview, right? Like, it's not that hard. And now all of a sudden, you have hours of film that you can clip into, hey, we have a 30-minute spot where we know our scheduled time is 2 hours from, or is 30 minutes from now. Let's run this interview. So instead of 30 minutes of cycling between, you get a couple Blizzard Heroes videos, then you look at the schedule for a couple minutes, then you get a Diablo video, then you look at the schedule, like instead of doing that rotation, play those videos. Make people feel something for the human side of it. Now, whether that'll really work or not, who knows? But, it's not that much, right? And Ogre's got a great point, not just in an interview, but get someone in film development to create a whole piece in its entirety.
So I'm gonna interject here for a second.
All right.
They do this with the LAN events. At the LAN events. Do you know what I mean?
Yep.
So they did it for the Clash. Like we saw like Bad Benny talking about, I'm in Kiev. You know what I mean?
Right.
Like they do that. They have the 2-part like documentary from the midseason brawl where they show the teams playing like boot camping.
Right.
And they're at the first part of that, the midseason brawl where they were in the group round robin stage.
Right.
And then they have the second part where they're actually at the LAN event. At DreamHack.
Right.
That was really, really cool and really, really good. So they do that to a degree. It's just it's at the LAN event, and I think it's because they have all the resources and all the players there.
Right.
It would be nice to see them reach out to the other teams that, hey, don't go to these LAN events. It's just, I would like that. I know what you're saying though.
Well, and
But
I think they could do
to a
that,
degree,
right?
they do it. I don't want to say that they don't do it at all.
They do it, but they don't do it deep enough, and I feel like they could make it better if, dude, they're in Southern California. You can throw a rock and hit a film guy, right?
Yeah.
Like, come on. Find an intern, pay him next to nothing, have them put something together, right? Like, there are things you can do to make us relate to the players more. And it doesn't necessarily have to cost a whole lot of money because, like I said, get a couple of interns. The product may not be as great as if we had, like, the best interview and film crew ever, but it's going to be good enough that you'll start making those connections. And the other thing that I love that Trent pointed out is just look at Twitter followers. The numbers just aren't there to like support a team coming in, and like, so Space Station Gaming can do it and Roll20 can do it because they don't have any other esports teams. So this is like, I'm gonna dip my toe in the water because I don't want to compete with Team TSM or any of the top CS:GO team. Like, nobody wants to try and jump in the deep end like that, right?
I agree. No, it's it's and I you know what part of me wonders is to a degree, and I don't know what the percentage is, that I feel like the Heroes community,
Right.
the actual playing community, hasn't really latched onto the esports scene of Heroes, which is a shame. I feel
Right.
like
Right.
I think that's part of it, and that kind of holds back some of the viewership numbers. The other part of it is Heroes is a smaller MOBA for what it's worth, you know, and I think that's also part of the struggle. Like, I mean, these are things that hold it back, that Trent points out, right?
Right.
And that's why we don't see top tier esport orgs. But I think, you know, another major portion of it is the reason why like Team League is never going to be. It's just the player base
Isn't there?
like,
Yeah.
isn't there. So I think it is heading in the right direction, and it's just slow and steady. And I think we as Blizzard fans and being used to them just hitting home runs with all of their games, like look
Right.
at Hearthstone, look at Overwatch, look at, you know, WoW when WoW came out, Warcraft 3, before that StarCraft 2, before that, you know, Warcraft 2, Diablo. You know,
Right.
it's just like you can just rattle them off like home run after home run. They don't hit singles, they hit home runs. So we're just not used to, like, it's this slow and steady approach that we're getting there, and because we talk about it every week, for us it's hard to see that traction.
Right.
But like if we were to take a step back and say, hey, this is where we were last year, and this is where we are this year, you'd be like, wow, it's, you know, we've made some pretty good strides.
The ground rule double that we're playing with, rather.
Yes, yeah, that's it.
All right, so I did not get a chance to read the. So Roll20 paid Trent to.
And he's gonna do 4 more.
Yes, he's interviewing all the players on Roll20, but he has posted the Prismaticism interview. I have not had a chance to actually read it, because just like time. But you said you did, so tell us about it.
I read it last week, right before we recorded the weekly Blizz, and it's really good. So it's like Trent doing his part to humanize the players that like he's talking about in his most recent article, where he goes and he asks about Prisma's background as a person, his background in esports, and more importantly, like Prisma has always had a reputation for like struggling with at LAN events, and like now when they said that, it was like they made it seem like, I mean, for what it's worth, they were being fair, but they made it seem like, oh, he's like, you know, he was like, I don't know, he struggled under the pressure, right? He would crumble under pressure, but the dude really has anxiety issues when it comes to this. Like when he first became a pro, he mentions it in the article. When he first became a pro last year, he would vomit before matches. Like that's how much anxiety. Like it was racking him. Right, he was really nervous. He was able to work his way through that, and then when he finally got like overcame that battle, and he started being on teams that were good enough to go to LAN events, it all came back. So he's still working through that. He's getting better, he said. There was also a dark period where, like, before he joined Team 8, that he quit Heroes and he was going to try and go pro in Overwatch, actually.
Right. And that's I remember I didn't remember he was going to Overwatch, but I remember him quitting Heroes at that point.
They failed to qualify for the HGC, and or no, he was cut from Denial. I think he was cut from Denial.
Yeah.
And that's when he quit, and he played Overwatch for a while, and he seriously considered or was trying to go pro in Overwatch, and then some of his buddies from the old Denial roster, he was on a team with Justin and Buds way back in the day,
right?
And then he was on Denial with Glau, and those two entities had merged together, and they wanted him on the team after 2-8 bailed,
right?
And he, he was the guy that you were saying that they should have replaced, and like he did look shaky, like the weaker link in the beginning of the season, but it's gotten to the point where like he's looked really good. Like his Chromie was on point.
Now. Yeah.
His Tassadar is on point. He's already, he was already probably the better Genji and Greymane. Like he as their true flex, like he is on point.
Yeah, I would agree. He definitely looks better now, and maybe it was all his his nerves, right? And,
It could have been.
just-
We don't know. We're like that. So
Right.
the struggle is real when we're just lonely podcasters and we're not behind the curtain.
right. I would love to be behind the curtain, honestly. All right, so we have one other article in our show notes that you guys can see if you check out the show notes, and that is Crowan's thoughts on esports. He did a post over on Heroes Hearth. It's kind of the same stuff, right? Like just kind of what's going on and where esports can go with Heroes of the Storm. And, I don't know that we need to rehash it for you guys. You guys all know pretty much how we think about this and what we would like to see versus what's happening currently. But it's a good read. Definitely check it out. Crowan's a good dude, and I feel like it was a good article. Or a good little blog post, rather.
I did not get a chance to read the entire thing yet,
Okay.
but I'll have to make sure when I get a chance to sit down to finish it up, because it's actually a little lengthy. Looks good though.
It's not short, but it is good.
Basically, it talks about his current Heroes esports story, basically. Life of Crowan.
Life of Crowan, if you will. Yes. So definitely check that out. All right, man. That was the end of my prepared show notes. Do you have any curveballs?
To add?
Yes.
No, not tonight.
Okay.
Not tonight. Probably next week I will. I'll throw you for a loop.
Okay. All right. I mean,
We'll see. I got to work again this weekend, but I'm off Friday, so I'll be able to watch all the games Friday, and then I'll only have to catch the VODs for Saturday, Sunday.
It's always interesting when you only have 1 week of a new phase too, right? Because there's just not the first week after a double bye week like that. It's just hard to figure out what you're gonna like, what team's going where, right? So
Yeah.
the further we get in the season, the easier it'll be to talk about, holy cow, like what's going on with team X, Y, or Z, right? Who knows? Like things could go really bad, and Dignitas could end up in the Crucible next year or this year. So,
Oh gosh, I don't think we're heading that way. Not yet.
no, I don't
yet.
expect us to get there, but you never know, man. Things happen.
Hopefully, we'll have Bacon next week.
Oh, we should have Bacon next
We
week.
haven't had Bacon and I on the show at the same time yet.
We
haven't been able to work that out.
I'm working on it, man. We're almost there. We are almost there. So, all right. I think we'll end there then, and hopefully, all right. I'm gonna say this to our live viewers just because I'm a little slightly worried about that. So if you are a podcast listener and you can hear this statement right now, that means I was able to get the video from YouTube to upload to you guys because I did not record tonight mistakenly. So,
Oh God.
right? So this may not work out as well as I had hoped. With this maybe a live only show on the our 12th episode number 13, maybe the double with Bacon and Bahgz at the same time. But you know what? Ogre just asked a great question. We're going to talk about this for a second. So all this great EU play, how will Arcaner adjust since he is going to EU, unlike Jay Street, who's going to go to NA? I mean, he's a pretty solid player. It'll be interesting to see if he can find a team. That's what I'm curious about.
I don't know. I think I mentioned this last time. I don't know why he didn't wait until after BlizzCon, but like, I almost feel like it's too late to latch onto a team and qualify for like.
Oh, it is. There's one cup. There's only one cup. That's not enough points. Well.
So his only hope is to get signed during the signing period. You know what I mean?
Right. And maybe that's what he's looking to do. Maybe
And he's just
hoping
wanting to get settled in.
Yeah.
Or maybe, I don't know. Or maybe that doesn't happen and he has to go through the open division next year.
Interview and tryouts, maybe. I would think you'd want the BlizzCon money though to help you settle in. Right?
Yeah, I think Jay Shree is doing it right, but we'll see.
All right. We'll have to see.
I mean, to answer Ogre's question, I certainly think he's good enough to. His play has shown it that he's good enough to hang.
Oh, absolutely,
So,
absolutely.
It's just a matter of finding the right fit.
Yes, And that's going to be the biggest question. So we'll have to see how that goes. We're going to watch. We're definitely going to watch and see how that goes. Man, this whole time, dude, technology has not agreed with me. This whole time it said episode 11 in the bottom left corner. I am a hot mess today.
It's cool. Don't worry about it.
We're really episode 12, guys. We're really episode 12.
I appreciate all the work you put in, and I feel like I should be doing more to help. So,
no, man, no, it's all good. I need to, like, Twitch being down totally threw me for a loop today.
It's tough. It's tough.
Right? I'm like, I come into it, I'm like, all right, this is how we do things, and then Twitch is down, and I'm like, crap. So I'm scrambling to make sure we can go live, and we went live on YouTube, and it worked out. Looks like it worked pretty well, you know?
It did, and more power to you, because a lot of people just called it a night.
Yeah.
When Twitch wasn't working. I don't think Core recorded tonight. Core normally records.
No, they moved it to tomorrow.
Right, they were supposed to record last night. They moved it to tonight, and then Twitch went down, so they just moved it to tomorrow.
Right.
So.
And then, who was the other one? The guys over with Into the Nexus. No, Lords of the Storm were also supposed to go live tonight, and then they were thinking they were just gonna record, and just post it tomorrow like they normally do. But it turns out that Twitch came up just in time for them. So,
oh, there you go. I think Town Hall just recorded offline.
They did.
So
technical issues aside. Thank you all for listening to Trollin HGC, a weekly podcast about Heroes of the Storm eSports, a member of the Trolls.gg podcast network. We stream live on our Twitch channel, twitch.tv/TrollsGG, every week on Wednesdays following the Nexus Trolls at 9:30 p.m. Eastern, 6:30 p.m. Pacific. Of course, that's assuming Twitch is up and running. Bahgz, where can people find you?
People can find me most commonly on Twitter, where I'm tweeting about my new doggo and eSports. That's you can find me at powerup_Bahgz. You can also watch me stream. Waz and I have been trying to stream more and trying to do. We're brainstorming like a duo stream idea. That's twitch.tv/Bahgz, Hearthstone, Heroes. Last night was Destiny 2. Just trying stuff out. We both of us have been looking for like a palate cleanser game, trying to try like, we've been playing Heroes like nonstop for like 2 years now with a little mix with like occasionally WoW mixed in.
Yeah.
So it's just trying to mix in some other stuff. Playing some Steam games, PUBG. Catch me there, and then that's where I'm at. Where can people find you, man?
So best place for me is Twitter. At LiQuidGG, that's LiQiuDGG. I have not had time to stream or cast games lately. We're redoing the basement so that I can move my office down there and then create a studio for that. But part of moving my office down there means me and my wife will be able to stream. And you and I should talk offline because I'm working on something really cool for me and her, where with my stream deck I can switch which screen you're actually seeing. So we'll both stream from one channel. But I can hit a button and you can see her perspective. I can hit a button, you can see my perspective, and I can flip it back and forth. Yeah, so I'm like really jazzed about that. Like that's that's one of the things I'm working on. I'm going crazy. I'm not gonna lie. Like, but follow me on Twitter because I will tweet when I'm going live and all that stuff. And I'll probably also include things like the Amazon shopping list for buying the stuff that I'm doing to build that and everything else. So. But I love my stream deck. It lets me do all sorts of crazy stuff like that. So, yeah. But since you asked about where to follow me on Twitter. That's the best bet. My Twitch channel is also twitch.tv/LiQuidGG. But like I said, I really haven't had time, to stream there lately.
Awesome.
Dude.
I'm still like blown away by that.
It is there. We'll see once I get it all worked out. In my head, I have it worked out. It does involve so it involves our gaming computers feeding a mixing computer, feeding a streaming computer that's then sending it up to Twitch. So, yeah.
Sounds like 4 computers.
Yeah, it's not for the faint of heart. There's a couple of YouTube videos out there about it actually, and I was talking to the guy that put the YouTube videos together to figure out like, how he did certain things and how his mics weren't picking up people next to each other. That's actually how I found it. And like he's got a whole team of players who's cables feed into a mixing computer, and then from there he's got an iPad where he actually controls which feed is live, and he can hear everything 3 seconds before like it happens on the mixing computer. So when they make noise like oh my god, I got a kill type stuff, he switches to that view real quick so you see them get that kill and stuff. So it's pretty cool. That's what gave me the idea, and I think I can I know I can use the Stream Deck the same way. I just have to sit down and like finish putting it all together and running the cables and stuff. So yeah,
that sounds like a setup that has really good potential for, like, I don't know, something like even Overwatch or Heroes, you know, any team-based game.
Anything. So I'm looking forward to that. But all right, like total tangent there, but let's jump back on track, and let me thank all of our Patreon supporters. If you like the show and you're looking for a way to support us, you can do so at patreon.com/TrollsGG. That is shared with the Nexus Trolls as well as us, and we use all of the money that we gain through that or through subscribing to us on Twitch or cheering us on Twitch to provide more kind of swag that we're going to give away at BlizzCon. So also, if you're going to BlizzCon, make sure to tweet us. Let us know where you are, and we can try and hook up with you. You can subscribe to our show on iTunes, Google Play, Stitcher, or wherever you happen to find your podcasts online. You can also visit our website, www.trolls.gg, to watch this and past shows, along with past video streams, which can also be found on our YouTube channel. If you want to hang out with us and the Trolls community in-game, just type /join TrollsGG, or you can join our Discord channel at trolls.gg/Discord. For announcements about this show and Heroes of the Storm eSports news, follow us on Twitter at Trollin HGC. I know both Bahgz and I try to get a lot of tweets out there to show you guys anything that you may have missed, so definitely follow us there. Finally, if you need to get in touch with us, the best way is on Twitter at Trollin HGC. DMs are open, or email us trollin@trolls.gg. Thank you all for watching, and have a great night.
Peace out.